My name is Jeremy Dreyer. I am the Chief Business Development Officer at GoMining, and I've been involved in Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining since 2017. I hope you enjoyed these courses. Bitcoin's energy consumption. Is Bitcoin bad for the environment? Congratulations, you've made it to the final lesson of this course, but it tackles arguably one of the most contentious issues surrounding Bitcoin. Isn't Bitcoin bad for the environment? Headlines, group chats, and political debates rehash this question often. It's one of the most common arguments against Bitcoin, and it sounds reasonable. Bitcoin mining uses a lot of electricity. This can't be good, right? But you know what's strange? Most people stop there. They rarely ask what kind of energy Bitcoin uses, why it uses energy in the first place, or how the energy use compares to the rest of the global financial and resource systems we rely on every single day, from central banks to credit cards to gold mining. Let's dive in with what Bitcoin's energy use really means, and how it might play a surprising role in driving renewable energy innovation. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to understand the main environmental concerns around Bitcoin's energy use and where they come from, identify the arguments for and against Bitcoin's energy consumption and evaluate them critically, compare it fairly with traditional systems like banking and gold, understand how Bitcoin mining can support renewable energy. Bitcoin's energy use. Headlines focus on its electricity use, critics compare it to entire countries, and at first glance the concern seems valid. But Bitcoin's energy use isn't a design flaw. It's a part of what makes the system secure and trustworthy. At the heart of Bitcoin is a process called proof of work. We've discussed it in a previous lesson, but it's a crucial process, so it's always worth a recap. Proof of work is how miners, computers spread across the globe, compete to solve complex mathematical problems. The winner gets to add the next block of transactions to the blockchain and is rewarded with newly minted Bitcoin. This process serves several critical functions. First, it secures the network by making it nearly impossible for any single actor to rewrite the blockchain's history. Doing so would require an enormous impractical amount of computing power. Second, it enforces Bitcoin's monetary rules such as the 21 million coin supply cap. No one can simply change the rules or print more coins. And third, it prevents fraud and double spending, ensuring that the same Bitcoin can't be sent to two people at once. Yes, this process consumes electricity, but that energy is what protects Bitcoin's integrity. It replaces the need for banks, intermediaries, and enforcement agencies with a purely digital, transparent, and borderless system. Bitcoin uses energy to deliver trust without requiring trust in any third party. Traditional finance versus Bitcoin energy use. For decades, we've accepted a simple story. Digital equals green and physical equals wasteful. Credit cards feel cleaner than cash. Online banking feels cleaner than brick and mortar banks. We assume that traditional finance must be more efficient. But that assumption doesn't hold up. Traditional finance isn't free. Behind every Visa swipe, there's a global web of data centers, office buildings, bank branches, 24/7 transaction servers, ATMs, regulatory enforcement infrastructure. That entire ecosystem consumes far more energy than we typically acknowledge. But because the energy use is scattered across industries and borders, it's invisible. Gold mining is even worse. To secure gold, we blow up mountains, burn diesel, run massive machinery 24/7, move tons of earth for a few ounces. Bitcoin mining, while energy intensive, doesn't destroy physical landscapes or emit mercury into rivers. It verifies transactions digitally, without explosions or pollution. The takeaway: all systems use energy. The real question is, what do you get in return? Bitcoin mining isn't wasteful. It's purposeful by design. Its energy use provides security. Every 10 minutes, Bitcoin mining network secures a new block of transactions using cryptographic proof. The energy cost makes tampering infeasible. Decentralization. Bitcoin mining can happen anywhere with electricity, meaning no single country or company can control it. Monetary policy enforcement. Bitcoin's fixed supply of 21 million coins is enforced through mining. No central bank, no inflation. The global picture. How much energy does Bitcoin use? Depending on the year and source, Bitcoin's total energy use is estimated to fall between 90 and 150 terawatt hours annually. At first glance, that number can sound huge, and it often makes headlines for that reason. But numbers without context can be misleading. To truly understand the impact, it helps to compare Bitcoin's energy use to the systems it's designed to challenge or replace. When you look at the bigger picture, from gold mining to global banking, Bitcoin's footprint tells a different story. Here's how it stacks up. Bitcoin is more transparent than traditional industries and increasingly more renewable. Fair Bitcoin energy use criticism. Bitcoin mining consumes a significant amount of electricity, and while it doesn't have to, some of that energy still comes from fossil fuels. Critics raise three main points. Legacy coal-powered facilities, especially in Bitcoin's early years when miners flocked to cheap coal-based grids in Inner Mongolia, China, and parts of the U.S. Midwest. High demand in regions with weak environmental regulation. When cheap power comes from oil, diesel, or coal, miners sometimes settle there until costs or policy change, resulting carbon emissions. In countries lacking abundant renewables or strong grid standards, Bitcoin's footprint can mirror the local energy mix. These concerns are valid and deserve honest discussion, but they're only one side of the ledger. To weigh Bitcoin's environmental impact fairly, we also need to consider what the network gives back and where it's already pushing the energy mix in a greener direction. Strengths versus trade-offs, a balanced view. Strengths. Secures a truly decentralized global currency. Energy costs makes attacks prohibitively expensive. Transparent, measurable energy profile. Anyone can audit network demand in real time, unlike banking or gold. Incentivizes use of stranded or excess renewables. Miners monetize surplus hydro, wind, and solar that would otherwise be curtailed. Portable by design. Rigs can relocate to cheaper, greener power in months, pressuring grids to add renewables. Trade-offs. Energy-intensive proof of work. Security is paid upfront in electricity. Still partly reliant on fossil grids. Renewable share is rising, but not 100%. Public narrative lags behind data. Early coal statistics still dominate headlines, even as the mix improves. Price swings can hit efficiency. When BTC price falls, some miners fall back to cheaper, often dirtier power or shut off entirely. Yes, Bitcoin uses energy, and that's the price of a borderless, censorship-resistant money. The real question isn't, how do we make Bitcoin use no energy, but how do we ensure it pushes global grids towards cleaner, more efficient power? Now let's explore exactly how miners are already partnering with renewable providers and why that trend is accelerating. The shift to renewable energy. Despite the criticisms, something remarkable is already happening beneath the surface of the Bitcoin energy debate. Miners are increasingly partnering with renewable energy providers, not just as a side effect, but as a strategy. Why? Because Bitcoin mining is uniquely suited to go where the energy is cheapest. And renewable energy like hydro, wind, and solar is often the cheapest source, especially when it's in remote or underutilized areas. In regions with abundant but inconsistent power, like solar farms in Texas or hydro stations in Paraguay, Bitcoin miners act as a flexible buyer of last resort. They absorb excess energy, bring income to power producers, and help stabilize the grid. And because miners can shut down in seconds, they're easy to throttle during peak demand, something traditional industries cannot do. This ability to pair with renewables isn't theoretical. It's already in action around the world. According to the Cambridge Center for Alternative Finance, as of mid-2024, 52.4% of electricity used by Bitcoin mining came from sustainable sources. This marks a substantial increase from 37.6% in 2022, showing a clear and rapid shift. But it's a lesson, and we want you to take some critical thinking tools from here. So how do we responsibly think about Bitcoin's energy use? Principle number 1. Compare systems, not headlines. Ask, compared to what? All forms of money and asset creation, from central banks to mining gold, use energy. Bitcoin's use is just visible and measurable. Principle number 2. Understand how Bitcoin can accelerate the green transition. What if Bitcoin actually helps fund renewable infrastructure? That's not a theory, it's happening. Real-world example, Texas and the United States. Bitcoin miners are stabilizing the power grid by absorbing excess solar and wind power during low demand and shutting off instantly during grid stress. Iceland and Norway. Miners tap into 100% renewable hydro and geothermal energy. Kenya. Miners are using excess geothermal energy that would otherwise go to waste. Bitcoin's portable, price-sensitive design allows it to monetize stranded or excess energy, create demand where none existed, encourage new clean energy projects in remote areas. Bitcoin doesn't hide its energy use, and it doesn't need to. It's a system that openly trains energy for security, transparency, and monetary independence. That's not a flaw, it's a feature. And increasingly it's becoming a bridge to a greener energy future. If you're still skeptical, good. Ask questions, follow the data, explore the reports.